بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا إنك أنت عليم حكيم. Tonight we will have the discussion about three ayat from Surah Al-Baqarah. Start from Ayah 264, 265, 266, 267 until 267. 4 ayat. As you know, these ayat are part of a set, like we mentioned last week, started with the ayah 261. Last week we talked about 261, 262, 263. And we said we will continue about these ayat, and actually this set of ayat end by the ayah 271, 10 ayat. So you have 261 to 271. 10 ayat are talking about spending. And we mentioned last week that some people said that if the order to spend comes in an ayah attached or within a context of fi Sabillilah, spending, fi Sabillilah, spending in the cause of Allah, that means exclusively jihad. Some people said this. And they said this based on what they say istiqra. They went over the ayat and they noticed that the meaning is the jihad. And what we mentioned is that at times spending, if it comes within the context of fi Sabilillah, it can mean jihad, and even there it can mean otherwise, like وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ, and spend in the cause of Allah and don't throw yourselves in the destruction. Ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah. We said even that, many Mufassirin said it's general. But here we have this set of ayat, 10 ayat, talking about spending, and they are general. We cannot say that they mean jihad exclusively. It can be spending in any right cause. It can be giving charity to people. It can mean spending, giving money to a mosque. It can mean giving donation to a school. Any donation for a right cause is considered spending fi Sabilillah. And we mentioned last week some ayat tell us this. As an example, the ayat of 263, 263 as an example. قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى والله غني حليم. A good statement, a statement in a good way, and a treatment, dealing with people in the right way, is much better than spending or a charity followed by a harm. So they say this, it means that it can't be jihad, because bragging to someone who you gave money to, you keep reminding him of what you spent, can't be imagined just in jihad. It can be in jihad and can be also in mutual dealings. So now we will talk about these 4 ayat, and they are actually also another indication telling us that spending can't be meant jihad exclusively. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayat, let's read this ayat, says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تبطلوا صدقاتكم بالمن والأذى كالذي ينفق ماله رئاء الناس ولا يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فمثله كمثل صفوان عليه تراب فأصابه وابل فتركه صلدا لا يقدرون على شيء مما كسبوا والله لا يهدي القوم الكافرين ومثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم ابتغاء مرضات الله وتثبيتا من أنفسهم كمثل حب جنة بربوة أصابها وابل فآتت أكلها ضعفين فإن لم يصبها وابل فطل والله بما تعملون بصير أيود أحدكم أن تكون له جنة من نخيل وأعناب تجري من تحتها الأنهار له فيها من كل الثمرات وأصابه الكبر وله ذرية ضعفاء فأصابها إعصار فيه نار فاحترقت كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم ومما أخرجنا لكم من الأرض ولا تيمموا الخبيث منه تنفقون ولستم بآخذيه إلا أن تغمضوا فيه واعلموا أن الله غني حميد صدق الله العظيم. These are the 4 ayat which we will try our best to address them tonight. The first ayah says what it means in terms of translating the meaning. O you who believe, or O believers, do not waste your charity with reminders of your generosity or hurtful words. Like those who donate their wealth just to show off and don't believe in Allah or the last day. Their example is like that of a hard barren rock covered with a thin layer of soil hit by a strong rain, leaving it just a bare stone. Such people are unable to preserve the reward of their charity. Allah does not guide such disbelieving people. And those who spend their wealth in order to gain God's approval, God's pleasure, and as an affirmation of their own faith, they are like a garden on a hill, and then a heavy rain falls and it produces double its normal yield. Even if there's no heavy rain fails, then it will still be watered by the dew. God sees all that you do. Would any of you wish to have a garden with palm trees, grapevines, and all kinds of fruits, with rivers flowing underneath, and as they grow very old, with their dependent children, a fiery whirlwind, a hurricane, hits the garden, burning it all up? Do any one of you would want this? This is how Allah makes his revelation clear to you, so perhaps you may reflect. O you who believe, or you have believed, spend from among the good things which you have earned, and from that which we have produced to you from the earth, and do not aim towards the defective items, khabith, spending from that, while you yourself wouldn't take it for yourself, and know that Allah is ghaniyun, free of need and praiseworthy. Now, just a word on the translation, that the word ghani is translated rightly by Sahih International, as I read, free of need. If you read some other translations, you'll see some people translated it rich, like Muhsin Khan. Some others, like the Study Qur'an, Abdul Halim, Dr. Muhammad Abdul Halim, and others, they translated it self-sufficient. Now, self-sufficient is not the right translation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not, quote unquote, self-sufficient. Allah is ghani. Ghani means does not need anyone, anything. Self-sufficient, it means that his needs are satisfied from within. As dictionaries like Webster says, the self-sufficient is able to maintain oneself or itself without outside aid. So from within, and capable of providing for one's own needs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have quote-unquote needs. This need is attribute of us, and that's why we are created. So God is not in need. We cannot attribute to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala any description that can be attributed to us. So the right translation for the word ghani is free of need, as Sahih translation rightly translated it. So having said that, let's go to the tafsir. The first ayah, ayah number 264. The ayah 264, in which it says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tubtulu sadaqatikum bil manni wal adha, or you who believe, do not waste your sadaqah by man and other, by bragging and by hurting others. Here we have 4 points to be addressed. Number one, there is a theological discussion among ulama al-tafsir and ulama al-kalam regarding of the hasanat. How can a sayyi'ah waste a hasana, remove a hasana? Because when you spend, it will be a reward. But if you spend with bragging, then bragging will remove the sayyi'ah, the hasana. This bragging, which is sayyi'ah, removes the hasana. So they say, how can a sayyi'ah remove a hasana, while in fact it's the other way around? Al-hasanat, the good deeds, remove the sayyi'at, but the sayyi'at don't remove the hasanat. So there was a long debate between them. Qurtubi mentioned a few things, said that when a person spends, God gives the angel and a hint that not to count that one, not in the sense of that after it is posted in your hasanat, then it will be removed. There is no need for this. Why? Because the sadaqat is an act of worship. And if the act of worship is not done in the right way, is not done with the right intention, it will not count. So if a person prays for the show off, he carried out all actions of prayer, but there is deficiency in his intention, so it will not count. It's not that it will count and then it will be deleted. So that's one point. The other point, there is a discussion among the mufassirin regarding the beginning of the ayah. The ayah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tubtulu sadaqatukum bil manni wal adha, or you who believe, do not waste your sadaqat by bragging and by showing off people who you spend to, you gave money to, and by hurting them. What does it ayah continue saying? كالذي ينفق ماله رئاء الناس ولا يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر. Like the person who spends for the show off and does not believe in Allah or in the hereafter. So there's conjunction letter wa or and. So is it conjunction letter here? So does it mean that Allah is warning us of two categories? Don't be like the ones who spend out of show off, and don't be like the ones who disbelieved? Or can we consider this waw, this letter waw, as what is called in Arabic grammar waw al-hal? Waw al-hal is a letter wa, very regular wa. It can be and for literal translation, but it is not used as a conjunction letter, but rather it is used to give a description for a status of certain action. Meaning, do not waste your wealth by the show off, by bragging, by keep reminding people of what you spend. Don't be like the one who spends his money for the show off while he is not believing in Allah and the hereafter. So not believing in Allah and the hereafter is not second category, but rather it gives another description for the one who spends out of the show off. So you have two sentences. The second sentence shows the hal, the status of the one who is spending. So the ayah is telling us, do not spend, don't waste your wealth, or sorry, do not waste your reward by spending and following your spending with bragging and with keep reminding people of what you spend. Don't waste your spending, and don't be like the one who is spending while he is not a believer. So Ibn Ashur, actually, he commented on this. He said that was the spending of the Jahiliyyah. The Jahiliyyah people before Islam, they didn't believe in God. So when they spent, their right mindset behind spending is not right. So they don't believe in God, and yet they spend. So don't be like them. So it is giving a description for the status of the one who the ayah is warning us from. Now, that's another point, like we mentioned, is addressed in the ayah. So most likely Ibn Ashur's view is the right view, although Qurtubi said, some Mufassirin said otherwise. Then the second part of the ayah, فمثله كمثل صفوان عليه تراب فأصابه وابل فتركه صلبا لا يقدرون على شيء. The example of such person is like what? The example of such person is like a hard barren rock. No way for this to be, if you have a hard barren rock, you cannot implant any seed so that it will grow to any kind of fruit. You need to have a soil. You need to have some soil, depends on what you want to grow. But you cannot grow something on a hard rock. Now, there can be at times cracks in the rock, so then you implant in the crack. But as long as it is solid, no cracks in it, no soil coming out of that rock, you cannot at all plant anything in that. So the example of the one who is spending in this way, in the wrong way, is like the example of this rock. There is a water coming, but the water, after it came, it removed all dirt that are in the rock, and it left it like bare stone. It can't be used for any production or for any implantation. So the ayah is telling us, don't be like this. And the result of this, those who are spending, لا يقدرون على ما كسبوا, they will not be able, such people will be unable to preserve what they did, to preserve the reward of their charity. It's like the solid rock. It has very thin layer of dirt. Then a heavy rain came, it cleaned it up, it left it for nothing. So now there's one who is spending in this wrong mindset. The mindset or the intention of his intention behind spending in this way will come and remove all good deeds he did. None of this will count, and it will turn to be like a barren rock. Nothing is producible from that. And the ayah concludes by saying, Wallahu la yahdi al-qawm al-kafirin. Now, Wallahu la yahdi al-qawm al-kafirin does not mean fatalism at all. Why? Because as long as they are kuffar, Allah will not guide them. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that Allah is the one who misguided them. God guided everyone. Actually, God guided everyone in different ways. Number one, by sending messengers. So the job of the messengers is to guide us. رُسُلًا مُبَشِّرِينَ وَمُنذِرِينَ. They are carrying to us the good news and warning us of bad things. God guided us by giving us intellect. God guided us by giving us the ability to think and to decide. It is we who are using this in the right way or in the wrong way. So if we are using it in the right way, we are, alhamdulillah, on the path of guidance by utilizing this in the right way. If we decided not to use it in the right way and we rather used this quality of the free will in the wrong way, we exercise our free will in the wrong way, then we are misguided. But who misguided us? It's we. We've decided not to follow the path of guidance that God gave to us. See that the difference? So, Wallahu la yahdi al-qawm al-kafirin does not mean that God misguided them. It just simply means that God does not guide those who insist on maintaining this quality of not believing. The other point is that this ayah 264 and 265, they are giving us, two simile, tashbih. They are giving an example in two ways. The first ayah 264 is giving us the example of someone who spends in the out of show off, and he is kafir. Those two qualities. So the second ayah 265, it gives the contrary to that, the quality of those who are spending in the right way. So the ayah says, وَمَثَلُ الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ وَتَثْبِيتًا مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ. And the example of the one who spends, from their wealth in order to gain God's approval, God's pleasure, God's acceptance, and تثبيتا من أنفسهم, and affirmation from their own side. Their example is like the example كمثل جنة بربوة أصابها وابل. It's like the example of a garden, بربوة, in a high place, أصابها وابل, a rain came to it, فآتت أكلها ضعفين. It produced as twice as it used to produce, multiplied production. فإن لم يصبها وابل فطل. If no rain came to it, then the dew, the early morning dew comes, and it will be very, very beneficial to the plant. Wallahu ma ta'maluna basir, and Allah is aware of what you are doing. So here is the example, like Abu Hayyan said in his tafsir. The first ayah gave two qualities of the person. He is not spending in the right way, and he is kafir. Now, the parallel example, contrary to that, those who are spending for the sake of Allah, not for the show off, and وتثبيتا من أنفسهم, they are very firm in their belief. They realize that they will be, inshallah, Rabbil Alameen, rewarded. يعني القرطبي and Ibn Kathir say وهم متحققون متثبتون أن الله سيجزيهم على ذلك أوفر الجزاء. They are spending while they are very sure that God will reward them for their spending in the right way. So they have the right spending and they have the right faith. Contrary to the first category mentioned in the ayah 264. They have the wrong intention in spending and they have the wrong mindset. They don't believe. So Ibn Hayyan said those two ayat are bringing two simile. Tashbihan. So now, when the ayah says وَتَثْبِيتًا مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ, and a confirmation from among themselves, There is a debate regarding the grammar value of the preposition min. Is it, does it mean they are confirming some of themselves, partial confirmation, or does it mean تثبيتا لأنفسهم, and they are confirming themselves? The right way is the second meaning, because the confirmation can't be divided. You can't have partial confirmation. When you have the tathbit, the thabat on the haqq, you have it, and you have your own, your entire self is confirmed on this. It's not that part of yourself is confirmed while the other part is not. Okay, so please, if you have any question, please immediately let me know. Type it in the comment window so that I will read, and I will try my best, inshallah, to answer if I have answer. Okay, now the second point here, the Ayah 266. أيود أحدكم. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us this question. أيود أحدكم أن تكون له جنة من نخيل وأعناب تجري من تحتها الأنهار له فيها من كل الثمرات وأصابه الكبر وله ذرية ضعفاء فأصابها إعصار فيه نار فاحترقت. أيود أحدكم. السؤال هكذا. Does anyone of you want to be in this situation, that he has a garden where, you know, trees, palm tree, grapevine, trees, rivers flowing underneath, everything. Everyone is dreams of this garden, and the person became old, get old, and he has weak dependence. At that moment, a hurricane comes with a fire, so it burned everything. Does anyone from among you want to be in that example? Of course, none. The point is not. No one. فاحترقت كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تذكرون. And thus Allah show you His signs so that you may reflect. Now, the ayah, the example the ayah is telling us is very obvious. Allah is asking us, does any one of you want to be in this situation? No, no one. So the one who is spending with the wrong mindset, with the wrong intention, he is like the person who thinks that he has this garden, has beautiful things, and then he got old, he died, he came to face the reality. He has nothing. Everything he has was burned. Burned by what? By the wrong intention. By the show off, or by just giving the person money to demean him, to show him that, okay, I am the one who supports you, I am the one who gives you this money, I am the one who enabled you to do this and to do that. Such person will face the reality like the person, this old man who used to have garden, everything coming to him, and then all of a sudden a hurricane hits it and burns everything. That's one point. And the ayah concludes saying, كذلك يضرب الله كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون. And thus God shows you His revelations, His signs very clear, so that you may reflect. How can we reflect on this? Maintain the right mindset, maintain the right intention, spending in the right way. Don't spend for the show off. That's one point mentioned. I would like to talk about in this ayah. Now there is another point we need to talk about in this ayah. While I was reading, you know, the ayah says إعصار فيه نار. إعصار is a hurricane or a tornado or a whirlwind that includes fire. Some people try to translate this in a scientific way, and they said this is one of the scientific miracles of Qur'an. They said this, what do you call it? They called it fire whirl. The fire whirl or tornado with fire. They said it was not observed, it was not discovered until just recently, 2003 year. So they said this is a scientific miracle. Actually, if you think about the ayah, إعصار فيه نار, it does not mean a hurricane that includes a fire. فيه here means comes with it. It's like the ayah ادخلوا في أمم, Surah Al-A'raf, ادخلوا في أمم, enter with nations. It's not enter into nations. So the fire is not in the tornado, but rather the fire comes with it. And we see at many times the tornado is so strong, so severe that even it will cause some fire. It's not that the tornado is what is called fire whirl. Why? Because according to if you just Google fire whirl, it says it is caused because there are flames, there is fire existing now in the ground, and then the wind comes, blows up, and it causes this to go in this whirlpool and create big damage. But the i'sar doesn't come actually like this. The i'sar comes like a movement of the wind in certain way based on certain situation, but it can create fire. So an i'sar, a hurricane, a whirlwind that comes along with a fire. This is the meaning of the ayah. Allah. There is no need to overload the meaning of the ayah just to fit something we think that it is scientific miracle. It's not to mention that Quran has no miracles. Of course, Al-Quran is miraculous. No doubt about this. But if we want to show that a certain ayah has certain scientific information, we have to make sure about two things. Number one, the meaning which we want to conclude is conclusive. It's not probable. There is no probability for another meaning. And number two, the fact itself, the scientific data which we are trying to analyze is conclusive. There is no doubt about this. So when we talk about the embryo development in the human, this is now a fact. What we know about in science in medicine is fact. Now, medicine doesn't know till now all kinds or all information regarding the fetus in the womb of his or her mother. Many things medicine didn't figure out till now. Every day medicine is learning and improving, but the stages are conclusive. Now the ayat that are talking about the stages of pregnancy also are conclusive. So now we can say, yeah, this ayah gives this meaning. But where is the miraculous aspect in the ayah, even in the ayat of the embryo development? The miraculous aspect is in the usloob, the style, the way Quran al-Kareem addressed this information. It addressed it in such a way that a Bedouin understood it, and it was relevant to him, as well as a professor in School of Medicine now can understand it, and it's relevant to him or to her. This is the miraculous aspect. But now, as an example of this, we say that this is miraculous sign that talks about fire whirlwind, and then we'll say that the fire tornado is discovered in the year 2003. So it means that Quran Kareem addressed people at that time, 1400 years ago, with something that they have no information about. So how can it be miraculous? It can't be. Because miracle is when people are people of language, people mastered Arabic language, people knew they have the right command in Arabic language, and you challenge them in their language to bring something similar to Al-Quran al-Kareem. Now they are capable of their language. If they can meet the challenge, because it's their language, let them do it. So we cannot say that this ayah has scientific miracle. Is there any question, please? Okay. Now, the other ayah, the last ayah, يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم ومما أخرجنا لكم من الأرض ولا تيمموا الخبيث منه تنفقون ولستم بآخذيه إلا أن تغمضوا فيه واعلموا أن الله غني حميد. O you who believe, or O you who believed, spend from among the good things that you earned, and from among what we produced for you from the earth, and do not spend from some defected items, while you yourself wouldn't accept it, except while you are not appreciating it. And you got to know that Allah is Ghani. Allah is free of need, and Hamid, praiseworthy. Now, actually, this ayah has five points. The first point, أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم, which means that we have to spend from the good thing. But it says كسبتم, from what you earned. So we have to work to earn. Another point is that min tayyibati doesn't mean that you have to spend all of what you have, but rather spend from among, partial spending. So we know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as an example, he did not allow people to write the entire of their wealth as a will. He told the person, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, الثلث والثلث كثير. Write wealth within 1/3, and even 1/3 is too much. And he told him, you have to leave something for your inheritors. So min here is للتبعيد. It says min tayyibati, from among. Not all of what you good things you have, but spend from this. Now, a person would say, well, didn't Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam accept from Abu Bakr when he donated all of what he had? We know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam dealt with the Sahaba at different levels. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew the Sahabi, and knew his capability, and knew his resources, and knew his intention and his willing. So he accepted from Abu Bakr, and he accepted from Uthman to actually Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu sponsored the entire army in Ghazwat Tabuk. But at the same time, he told people, spend this much, don't spend too much. So it depends on the person. So we cannot say general rule, you can spend entire your wealth during your lifetime. You can spend part of your wealth during your lifetime. But if you want to spend as a wasiyah, as a will, after your death, then you are limited within 1/3. And within your lifetime, if you want to spend and give one of your children some amount of money, you have to be fair with other children. So there are certain rules govern spending. But here the point is, we have one point talking about spending from among the good things, and you don't have to spend all of this, but rather spend part of it. The other point is that the ayah says, وَمِمَّا أَخْرَجْنَا لَكُمْ, and spend from among what we produced for you. So who is the owner? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who is the one who gave us this earth? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-malu malullah. The wealth belongs to God. And we are entrusted. We are not having the wealth independent of God. We are ourselves depending on Him. So, مِمَّا أَخْرَجْنَا لَكُمْ وَمِمَّا, and from among what we produced for you. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who provided for us, and we are asked to utilize this in the right way. So if we utilize this in the right way based on Allah's orders, we'll be rewarded. If we earned in the wrong way and we started owning without any restriction, then we are going to just, deserve the wrath or the punishment or the anger of God. And it's not right to spend in this way. So we have to know that it is from God, and we have to work, but we have to work right. Now, what we earn, is it our risk? At the end result, whatever we earn is our risk. But I cannot predict how much my risk will be. This is in the ghaib, part of the unseen. So what I know is that I am ordered to work. So I have to work. We shouldn't act based on the assumption, oh, okay, God knows that I will earn just $40,000. So if I work this much, I will go home. I don't want to work. No, work as much as you can in the right way. Maintaining other priorities, maintaining other duties, maintaining other rights, all of these things in your life. So that's one point. Now, the Mufassirin, when they started talking from min al-ard, they started talking about the zakah of the findings. If we find something, rakaz, digged in the earth, we started digging in the earth and we found some gold, how much zakah we should pay. That's not the ayah. The ayah's scope of the ayah is not to talk about these fiqh rules, which are mentioned in many hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, and actually the fuqaha address this in the books of fiqh. Now, what about the ocean? It says min al-ard. We know that whether it is the land or the ocean, everything is provided for us. So hunting in the land and hunting in the sea is allowed. Diving and getting from the whatever the sea has is allowed, providing that we shouldn't abuse, of course, the environment. Now, the other point is وَلَا تَيَمَّمُوا الْخَبِيثَ مِنْهُ تُنْفِقُونَ. Do not spend from among the khabith. The khabith here doesn't mean haram. Notice, please, every haram is khabith, but not every khabith is haram. Khabith mean here, like what the translators translated, defective things. The asbab al-nuzul tell us this. The sabab al-nuzul is that some Sahaba used to bring dry dates, hanging it in the masjid, so people will eat from that. He wouldn't accept for this to his family. So instead of sending it to his family, some of them would bring it to the masjid to eat. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them, don't spend from the wrong or from bad items. من أوسط ما تطعمون, from among the average, the good average of what you eat. Do you accept this dates to take home? No, I don't accept. So I shouldn't spend from that. Do I have to spend on to give the most highest quality of the dates from that tree? No, you don't have to. Just be the average, a good quality, not bad, but you don't have to have the extreme, extra fancy dates to spend. Now, why the khabith here doesn't mean haram? Like we said, number one, sabab al-nuzul. Okay, the context of revelation. Number two, it says, the ayah continues, says, وَلَسْتُمْ بِآخِذِيهِ إِلَّا أَن تُغْمِضُوا فِيهِ. And you are not taking it except if you are, forced to take it. You are not taking it with full-hearted way. You are not taking it like we have here in the translation. Let me look at it. Except with closed eyes. You are not going to take it except with closed eyes. Meaning you are not taking it with full appreciation. You took it because it's the only available item, not because you like it. So it's not talking about haram things, apparently. It's talking about low quality things. Don't spend from low quality items. That's the point. And then the ayah concludes by saying that Wallahu ghaniyun wa'alamu anna Allah ghaniyun hamid. And got to know that Allah is free of need and He is praiseworthy. So, like we said, that as the translation of ghani is free of need, doesn't mean self-sufficient. We don't need to repeat this. We talked about this earlier. Now, what does it mean? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us that if you are spending from among the low quality thing, Allah doesn't need you. Allah is not in need for you. So you have to spend. لن تنالوا البر حتى تنفقوا مما تحبون. The ayah says, you are not going to reach to the level of the birr until you spend from whatever you like. So the other point, actually, I forget to mention, is that the khabith, like we said, it doesn't mean the haram. Every haram is khabith, but not every khabith is haram. This we have to keep in mind. Every haram is khabith. There is no haram that's not khabith. But can a khabith be halal? Yes. Like what the ayah says. And the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he described the onion and the garlic. شجرتان خبيثتان, bad produce. So if you eat from them raw onion or raw garlic, don't فَنَأَكَلَ مِنْهُمَا فَلَا يَقْرَبَنْ مُصَلَّانَا. Don't get into our musalla. So they are halal. They are used in our kitchens, in our recipes, this or that. But the Prophet ﷺ described it of being khabith. Doesn't make it haram. So not every khabith is haram, but every haram is khabith. So to conclude, the ayat are asking us to spend, and to spend from the right things, not the defected ones, and to spend with the right mindset, not with the wrong mindset. And spending is not even spending, if it is mentioned within the context of fi Sabillilah, does not necessarily mean jihad. Here the ayat, what we talked about, came after the ayah 261. And the ayah 261 is مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت سبع سنابل. The example of the ones who spend في سبيل الله is like the example of a grain that produces 7 ears. In every ear you have 100 grains, so you have 700, and Allah multiplies. Allah يضاعف لمن يشاء. So the ayah is asking us to spend في سبيل الله. Some people said Jihad. No, apparently it doesn't mean jihad. Because all ayat after 261, 262, 263, the ayat which we talked about, the application of this ayat cannot be restricted to jihad. Is there any question about this, please? So next week, inshallah Rabbil Alameen, we'll continue the tafsir. We'll go through ayat 268 till 271. Bidnillah Azza wa Jal. There is a request from each and every one of us. If you can, please spread the word, share it, like it, send it to friends, send it to brothers, send it to sisters, so we can, inshallah, I mean, all of us benefit from. And most importantly, no one is infallible. All the prophets are infallible. For sure, some people may disagree with what I said. For sure, some people see something wrong in what I said. Please, if you find anything you disagree with, please let us know. You can post it in the comment window. Anything, please, but bring it with evidence. So if information you think was given is not right, please, all of us should stand for correction. Bring it, and bring it with an evidence, so that all of us, inshallah Rabbil Alameen, will be corrected at the end. Because the objective is to reach to the right views in all issues. Al-haqqu ahaqqu an yuttaba. Okay? سبحانك اللهم بحمدك لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك اللهم نتوب إليك اللهم اجعل اجتماعنا هذا اجتماعا معصوما واجعل تفرقنا بعده تفرقا مرحوما ولا تدع فينا ولا بيننا شقيا ولا محروما والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. See you next week inshallah Rabbil Alameen at the same time.